Hey everyone, we've been talking a lot about reading diversely this year, and a huge part of that is reading translations. Now, a lot of you know that I switched to reading English books because I wanted to stop reading all the translations. Here in Germany, we translate everything. And I discovered at one point that most of the books I read were translated from English into German, and I can read English, so I decided to read the original, which is much better because you can read the book as the author intended the book to be read. Yeah, but of course this is not always possible. I only speak English and German. My French isn't good enough to read, and yeah, that's the only other language I know. So there are books from other countries that I need to read in translations. But translations can have an influence on the book you're reading. Let me give you an example. I've read Haruki Murakami and I really don't like him. I don't like his narration, I don't like his main characters. I've heard that the German translations are not as good as the English translations. I have a friend who loves him, and she was gifted an English translation of one of the books she had already read before, and she discovered that she liked the English translation a lot more than the German. And I thought this was very interesting because for me the German language sometimes isn't as beautiful as the English language, but when I go for translations I naturally always go for my mother tongue, because if I read a translation, I can just read the German translation, right? But sometimes that does seem to be problematic. I don't know if I ever told you that I've been reading Don Quixote on and off for probably years now. I'm not far, I'm like on page 118. And it's in German, and I hate the translation. It's not the story that stops me from picking up the book all the time, but it's the translation. When I read this, it just doesn't flow. The sentences seem so wrongly structured. And yes, it's an old text, and probably to capture the original writing of the author, there must be some weirdly structured sentences. But for me as a reader, I just cannot comprehend it. I cannot get to the story. And for me, this is not fun. And I do want to read Don Quixote, but I really don't like this translation. So that's a problem I have with translations, that you need a good translator and you need a good translation to enjoy the book or to see the beauty of the book. And with this one, I just don't. Let's talk about this. If you have read translations, did you have the same experience? If you have read a translation of Don Quixote, let me know how you felt with it. And maybe tell me your translator, the version you have, because maybe I just have to switch editions.